have it up. I just need to republish the link. So it will just take maybe 2 minutes.
At this point, we're going to just pause for a stretch break. Be back in 2 minutes.
It's all right. It's good. I mean, well, it is because I'm not monitoring it and talking. Right. No, if it's YouTube or you know, the streaming piece that does it, they could have lost that connectivity.
All right, we're going to go ahead and resume and continue our discussion. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to all those who are listening at home and participating via our live stream. We should be back online now as we continue to have our ongoing discussions at the beginning of our school board meeting. Mrs. Matash, thank you.
Thank Dr. Fox. Isn't it ironic? Tech issues during a tech issue presentation. Anyways, going back to the timeline, so October 26th, the new Content Keeper app was deployed. October 27th, the students had connectivity issues on campus. I contacted Content Keeper, and their first line was to update the appliance. It was running an old version, so they updated it that evening. The next day, when our students came back, it was working on campus. Then on October 31st, and I think that's a weekend in there, so October 31st, people were reporting internet issues off campus, so any kind of internet connectivity with the iPads off campus. Again, contacted Content Keeper and the IU, because our off-campus appliance is shared with the IU. Plus, we go through the IU for Content Keeper. It's part of our WAN and internet agreement, so they're the ones that are holding the contract with Content Keeper for the districts that use internet and WAN. So I contacted both Content Keeper and the IU to see about our problems with off-campus connectivity issues. The first line of defense for Content Keeper was to update that appliance because it worked for our on-campus connectivity issues. So we did that, or they did that the next evening, November 3rd. It did not fix the problem. So at that time, I spent numerous hours doing or testing with different devices, different OSs, just to kind of try to figure out if I could find a commonality between it. I couldn't communicate with other districts using iPads. Again, we were just kind of figuring out what can we do to see what the exact problem was, but it was so intermittent and not specific to an OS that it was hard to pinpoint. So that was over quite a few days doing a lot of different testing with Content Keeper. Then on November 9th, they decided to change some configuration they said, well, why don't we try to use the on-campus appliance off-campus? Since it's working on campus, maybe the problem will go away if it's just that appliance. That did not help, so we made that configuration change. That did not help. On November 14th, Content Keeper finally acknowledged that they did a lot of testing with multiple districts. Again, it was system-wide. Anybody using the iPad with Content Keeper was having the same problem. They weren't seeing it on Chromebook, so it was specific to iPad. They acknowledged it, said that they believed it to be an Apple problem. And they were kind of saying that they weren't going to do too much more with it. They wanted Apple to look at it. With that being said, they came up with a plan B to deploy a custom app. So basically it's the same kind of technology, but it's using cloud instead of the on-site appliance. They tried to deploy that custom app because it worked with other districts, but the luck of the draw, there was then an issue with deploying that custom app to Apple School Manager, and that's what we need to use to deploy it to our iPads. And there was an issue with, again, that one was, again, specific to Apple. So basically our hands were tied. I met with Content Keeper, quite a long meeting, just telling them our dissatisfaction and how it was impacting our students. Reached out to our Apple reps to try to see if they could help. Dr. Fox did the same thing. He contacted people at both Content Keeper and Apple to see if we could try to move it on. Throughout the Thanksgiving break, both of us continued to communicate with both Content Keeper and Apple just to see where we were. Another kind of wrench in it is that Apple takes a week off around that time, so their developers weren't able to look into the custom app issue. After Thanksgiving, November 29th, the custom app issue was fixed by Apple, and it was deployed that evening. I tested it at home on some iPads. I didn't feel confident because I was seeing one little issue, so we waited till the next day, met with Content Keeper again, and we were able to deploy it to all the student iPads, which did fix it. So it is the custom app using the cloud technology fixes didn't fix the problem. It put a Band-Aid on the problem where we're able to allow our student iPads to connect to the internet. That first issue using the technology for pack files, deploying the pack files to an iPad still exists, but as long as we can use the cloud option, we will be good with our students connecting to the iPads. So that is pretty much the timeline, what happened, what we did, and I guess if you have any questions.
I have a question. So just to be clear, so the custom app came from Content Keeper, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So what did Apple do for us?
So our Apple rep did reach out to developers and told them the impact it was having on us and our students and other districts, and that it was imperative for them to get it fixed. And I do really believe that their influence helped to get that custom app part fixed. So it wasn't that in Apple School Manager, that's how we go out and purchase or get apps into self-service for the iPads. We have to use Apple School Manager. The custom app is another technology to get apps that are specific to one school district or one business. And that was, again, a system-wide Apple issue, deploying Customs app. It wasn't just Susquenita, it was anybody using Apple School Manager. But I do believe that our Apple reps did help move that to get that fixed.
And when did they come into the picture to do that?
Right
Like
before
date?
Thanksgiving, which caused the problem. The people we communicate with contacted us over Thanksgiving, email, text messages, phone calls, but the developers were on vacation. So they were not back in the office until after the Thanksgiving weekend.
And just one final follow-up. So you mentioned about it being sort of a Band-Aid. Is this the permanent fix, this custom app, or?
I really don't have that answer. As long as Content Keeper, it doesn't charge us anymore and we can use it, then yes, it will be the permanent fix. It is a better technology than what we were using. In the long run, it is, both of them are the same filter for our students. So I don't have a preference which one we use. As long as, so it could be, but if they fix the original problem, they might have us go back to it.
Okay.
And is Content Keeper a choice we make because of IU15 telling us we have to use that?
Well,
We don't get to choose which filter we want to use, or is that because that's the one they use?
So because we get our internet from them, it was a consortium decision at the time,
Right.
and that was what the consortium, that kind of came up with this, partnered or purchased Content Keeper as the provider for the filter. And I'm losing my voice.
We could do another one, but it would
Excuse me.
cost extra.
That's where, like, is there an alternative to Content Keeper that doesn't have this issue that we could switch to?
So any filtering company who uses PackFile would have that issue with an iPad right now.
So it's more of an iOS
Right.
issue than a,
Exactly. So it's not necessarily content, and it even goes deeper. It's a content filter who is deploying the PackFile through an MDM.
yeah, we have a conference app that blew up over at our conferences last week, so I am aware of the issue, so we had the same thing.
Right. So we could use a different, but it wouldn't really help.
And just another quick question. So the custom app, does that prevent accessing apps at home on the iPad that a student would have been able to access before? Is there a different wall or firewall?
So at one point, we switched from we had two different appliances, an on-campus appliance and off-campus appliance. Our off-campus filtering did allow students to access a little bit more than on campus. So it was opened a little bit more through that timeline. At one point, we went to the on-campus appliance, filtering off-campus, and this cloud version is pointing to the same profiles as our on-campus appliance. So it could seem like they are filtered a little bit more, but it's because we're using the on-campus appliance,
So when I,
not necessarily the custom app.
yeah, so I guess what I'm asking is, so like when I contacted you and said, remember when I asked you, and there was a different setup for school board iPads as opposed to the kids. What I got blocked at home would now be what my child's would be blocked at home because it's her school iPad? Is that, I'm just asking. So like, in other words, if I was accessing Disney Plus on my iPad, I can now get on that because you removed that because it's a school iPad, it's a school board iPad. But if my daughter was using Disney Plus before, she's not gonna be able to do that now.
Probably not, because we have streaming blocked at school, so that they probably won't be able to do it at home. We do have a couple music sites opened up at school, but we don't have Disney Plus opened at school because we don't want students streaming all day. So we most likely had it open on the off-campus
Yeah.
appliance, but now that it's going through the on-campus, they probably won't be able to.
Okay, so you don't foresee it going back to what it was before, based on the way things are now?
Not anytime in the near future
Okay.
with changing between, and quite honestly, we were only supposed to be using one appliance through the IU, and we were still using two, so at some point, we were probably gonna have to be going to one
Okay.
anyway.
And Christine, is this no commentary on you or your abilities or how hard you work? Because I respect all that. But we have got, something has to give with the technology. I mean, it feels like every year we still are having a lot of issues. And I think I speak for many parents. It's very, very frustrating to parent a student when the teacher's saying they didn't turn something in and the student is saying they did turn it in, and you're saying, well, your teacher's saying you didn't. I can't tell you how many arguments we've had in my home and other parents have had in their homes saying you did turn it in or you didn't turn it in, or no, you did, you didn't, and it turns out they did, and then you feel bad because you basically accused your kid of not telling the truth, or the teacher's saying they didn't and the kid's able to prove that they did because it didn't go through, and it makes it so hard and frustrating to parent. And I'm probably just a minor person compared to all the arguments and frustrations that are happening in all the homes of all of our kids across the district. And this has been going on for years, at least in my opinion. It has been, I know for a fact it's been going on for years. And here we are now, we have iPads 1-to-1, K through 12, and we're still having these issues. And some teachers are gracious, some aren't so gracious. And maybe they should be gracious in some instances, and maybe they can't, and I know I'm rambling, but we have to do better. And it's no commentary on anyone here, but if we're gonna be relying on technology this much, we've got to do better, because parents' hands are tied, and teachers' hands are tied, and it's problematic. And if we keep throwing money at it, and budgets are gonna come around, and we're gonna wanna buy 1-to-1 iPads for everybody, K to 12, again, a couple hundreds of thousands of dollars. I, as one parent, am frustrated, and I've talked to other parents that are frustrated, and I know everyone's working hard, but this has to get better. And frankly, I know I'm not a fan of Apple. I mean, Apple needs to be helping us. I know you said they were, but I think they can do better.
So I'll echo that last part about Apple. I can honestly say, in terms of working with people, they were certainly the most responsive that I've seen when an organization, the corporate organization was shut down during that time. Within an email that I had sent to the one individual who's not even in this department, quickly jumped on it and said, let me see what I can do and what information I can get for you. While it wasn't a lot at the time, it was something, and it was responsiveness. So I think we echo what you say. We're a couple years still in, and while that seems like a long period of time, in terms of full deployment and learning and growing, there are always going to be an opportunity for continuous professional learning and what that looks like. So we're continually doing that and continually ensuring that we all have up to date and making sure that all of our and devices are up to date, because that's really important as well. And making sure when we use our Jamp that it all connects as well and it's updated, because things just like at home when our own devices always don't work because they need those updates and they spin. For here, we're looking at continuous professional learning. What does that look like, and how do we use and leverage different systems within itself to not just curate and provide content, but how do we transform teaching and learning and use that to not only just research something, but continually allow our students to demonstrate their learning in different ways. So we're still evolving and still continuing with that, and it's always and ever going to be a challenge. And I look at it from not just a turn it in point, because one of the things I remember is I used to, when I was a teacher, I had baskets and bins. And my student would turn in their assignment into the bin. Well, it was second period. I know they didn't turn it into second period. So I go through and look through, and sometimes if you see my desk, it probably does lend itself to some conversations because I always don't have the best organization of piles. So I'd look through, and it's very, very similar. It was not turned in. And we'd have that conversation, and there were frustrations with parents about turning in an assignment. It wasn't turned in. Come to find out, it was in that student's proverbial backpack, shoved in the back of the book. So there's a lot of conversations, and sometimes it was me. I inadvertently, one time, threw assignments away, thinking that I was cleaning. So I think the long story, when I'm now rambling, is we're continually learning and growing as an organization together. So I respect and hear that, and I know we need to.
I do understand that. And then last week, all of a sudden, the internet was down in the building, and then you have teachers that are planning to teach using the internet, so they come in and they can't. They're trying to get to the copier, and the line at the copier is so long, they can't get their work copied, so the kids aren't getting a lot of work done because teachers don't have a lot of work for them. Or they turn it in by paper, and then it shows up in PowerScore Canvas as missing because it wasn't submitted electronically. It's just extremely frustrating. And I would have expected the frustration to become less and less, and it doesn't seem to be getting any less. And I understand, but I'm just thinking, the more and more we depend on technology, when it's out, that's a lost day of instruction. And I know that we can all have a plan for when, technology is out, we're going to do this, but we also know that doesn't happen. Again, I'm rambling and I don't know the answers, but I think I'm conveying a frustration, and I see other board members and others nodding. I think it's a frustration that many have, and I respect and appreciate that at least we're all acknowledging it.
Dr. Fox, if I just may too, just about if there is a specific time, and I would urge any families that are listening or board members, if there's a time that students have turned something in but it didn't turn in, please put in a help desk ticket, because I don't see that happening. And so if I don't know it's happening, I can't help to figure out why it's happening. So if if it's happening a lot, then maybe we need to look at a different LMS, right? So I want to make sure that I have all of that information and I don't have tickets saying that that's happening. So please, if your student or child is saying that they're turning things in and it's not turning in, put in a help desk ticket so I can look into it.
And I
think sometimes it appears to have gone through and it didn't.
They should get the confetti.
And that happens quite a bit, I think.
There's confetti that happens when it turns in. And if they got the confetti, then it should have turned in.
So, and I want to echo too from what Mike was saying, is that we appreciate everything that was done in this, okay? Totally. I get it. This was super frustrating for your end as much as it was for the parents, probably even more so. So seriously, we thank you for all of the work that was done to try to rectify it as fast as you could possibly get it done. But in terms of the whole confetti thing, I started directing my children, when Michael was still here, to screenshot every time they did a submitted assignment. Because if there was a question, they had proof of it. So to your point about the help desk thing, I don't know that they would have ever sent that, because they resolved it by being able to prove to their teacher that they screenshot that submitted. So the confetti went through, but the teacher never got it. And you wouldn't know about that. So if that is something you would like to know, maybe a district-wide memo going out to parents outside of just even this board meeting tonight might be helpful, so you are aware of all the times that those kind of things happen, because you may never get them because it was resolved by the student being able to show. But I don't know how many kids are screenshotting their My Submitted page to prove that they did it. So
and they shouldn't have to, right? I mean that they shouldn't have to go through that extra step. So if it is happening, either they're doing it or they're not doing it and it's not being submitted, I really do want to know so we can figure out what the problem is and what we can do to rectify it.
And I think also, because this issue seemed to have happened sort of aligned with the beginning of this second quarter, I would like to suggest that we have a grace this marking period with regard to teachers, late assignments, anything like that, because stuff like that had to have fallen through the cracks during this time frame, and I don't know that it's fair necessarily to these students to have had that happen. I know sometimes the teacher might say, well, you could have turned it in during school, you could have used your phone. Again, they shouldn't have to use their phone, right? So I'd like to hopefully maybe see if we could look at some sort of a grace thing going on for the second marking period in light of all of these issues.
Well, and I think the other thing is, we're not the typical parents that are checking their kids' grades daily, probably, some of them,
My kids' grades at all.
and seeing what they submitted and seeing if it's late. You know, some kid, I had to look at somebody. But, you know, not every kid has a parent who's checking in on them, seeing if they have late assignments. Not every kid's looking at could care less.
Right.
They don't have somebody to remind them, hey, you had something due today, did you submit it? So I think the grace, you know, so they may have submitted it or not submitted it. If it couldn't access it at home and they just said, you know what, I can't submit it, so I'm not going to submit it. Is that, you know, a sixth grader's fault or, so I'm really, you know, the teachers really should be following up with all those kids that have late assignments and saying, hey, these are late during this time, you need to resubmit that stuff. I don't think we can rely on the kids all to have, you know, like they're working in a business and know to get everything in on time.
I think you're speaking a bigger language in a conversation I'd love to have at some point about the value of assignments, period, and about what assignment means and the value associated with that. Not necessarily just about doing something, but what it's for. But we hear that, and we certainly, as a cabinet and a team, can have that conversation, for sure. Thank you.
And just, I know the internet outage had nothing to do with you, but I don't know if we're looking into building any kind of resilience into the network, so that if there is a line down to the IU, that we'd have our own internet as a backup. And then also,
We have talked about it, but I don't know if it would have helped this.
I don't want to hear from my high schooler, and nothing against the high school teachers, that we had study hall all day because there was no internet. That's crazy that teachers don't teach because there's no internet. So just put that out there.
Yeah, and I don't want everybody to think it's widespread, because we had an opportunity and we walked through at different times. I saw some really cool things happening. I walked by one classroom and they're on the floor in a circle having a discussion. So there are some really cool things, I think, in occurrence to be able to take a step back from some things too as well and flip. Because we all talk about being able to transition. Sometimes you got to transition opposite, right? Transition from what was there on the internet to transition to be able to do things. And what I did see is a district being able to spin up really quickly. Deploying of devices from not only, you know, Chromebooks in certain instances because of the ability to connect into Wi-Fi quickly, devising Wi-Fi hotspots, spinning up emails to be able to communicate because our voice over IP phones weren't working. So to be able to communicate with our stakeholders relatively quickly and not waiting. So I think that was a good practice for us as well. And then just transitioning, taking a step back and being able to have that dialogue and conversations and being able to dig deeper with some of our questioning strategies. So I think that's an awesome kind of segue into our student presentations.
I want to just quickly say, though, I also understand how hard this is for the teachers. You know, I'm thinking of Maslow's hierarchy. You know, you're on your way to work and you get there and all of your tools are gone. And now you're at self-actualization. Now you're the whole way down here at basic survival. You know, and that's hard for any professional to do. It's hard for our kids. It's hard for our parents, the administration. I mean, it's just hard. And there's no bad guy per se, other than we have to figure out a way to do better if we're going to continue to put more and more money into technology. And I just, again, I want to shout out to the teachers. I know they're just doing the best job they can, and I'm sure they're all, you know, they're doing well, but it's got to be incredibly hard for them as well.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And thank you, Mrs. Matosh, for that great overview as well. And I echo, it's continuous improvement. Kind of a great segue into Ms. Evans and Mrs. Allwett's presentation here. Leah and Taryn, take it away.
Hello, happy December. It is the season of the holiday, and there is so much happening, so we should get excited. Our band concert was last night. Wow, the music was so good. Our choir and our band are always so well directed and so well instructed, and it makes me really happy as a student to see my peers perform at such a high level.
Like Terrence said, this is December, so it's the season of giving. So Student Council has organized a pet drive this month. So it's going to be a competition between all the grade levels to see who can fundraise and bring in the most donations for the pets. Now, all these proceeds are going to go to the Harrisburg Humane Society. So I urge you all to have your kids and bring in all the extra pet food and pet supplies that you have. There's a list of things you can bring in and point values on the Susquenita Student Council Instagram page. So look at that, bring in some stuff. You might have seen the Christmas boxes around the Christmas tree. That's where you can throw your stuff. I'm gonna try and put them out at basketball games and other extracurricular events. So if you happen to come to one of those, bring some supplies and help bring donations for the Harrisburg Humane Society.
Our West Side Singers have a gig this Friday at the ribbon cutting ceremony in Harrisburg at the new Judicial Courthouse, I believe. Something fancy's going in. So if you want to catch our West Side Singers, now Friday would be the time.
Jazz band also had a gig this past weekend. We played at the Duncannon tree lighting, which was very exciting. We also played at King Cora, the senior center in Duncannon, which was so much fun. We loved playing for the community, and we hope to do a lot more this month and throughout the year.
So an update on the reinstallation of new bathroom doors. The full-length bathroom doors have arrived, but since due to ongoing supply chain issues, the hinges and the latches haven't arrived. So that would be kind of a problem. So they'll be going on as soon as those items come in.
Maybe Mr. Funk could just kind of hold them in place.
Student Council this month is also planning some special events and some rewards for the teachers and faculty to really give back and let you guys know that we all appreciate you and all the hard work that you do.
And in sports, Mason McClendon, one of our wrestlers, placed first at the Solenko tournament this past weekend. So congratulations to him. And our boys basketball team, I believe, plays Big Spring on Friday. So come on out.
On Friday and Saturday, we also have girls Pico. Friday, we play Newport at, I believe it's 6. And then Saturday, depending on if we win Friday, which we're going to, of course, we'll play, I think it's either 6 or 7:30 against whichever team. So I urge you guys to come out and support.
Where is Pico held this year?
This year it's at Greenwood.
Greenwood.
Our Principals Advisory Committee will be meeting tomorrow to discuss updates and future projects in the school.
This last Thursday, we had our SNHS induction. I know Dr. Fox and Mr. Funk were there, and that's very exciting. The former members and Miss Epley are very excited to work with all the new members.
And lastly, our yearbooks are able to be ordered. As a proud member of our yearbook staff, I encourage you all to tell your kids, tell your neighbors, please go buy a yearbook. Check out the online store on the high school website or pick up an order form in the library. Pre-orders, I believe, are due January 31st.
I think that's all we have today. Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to appoint some board delegates. First couple here are Capital Tax Collection Bureau and the Perry County Tax Commission. These are Mr. Bard. Does that count as insubordination?
What can we do about that, sir?
All right. All right. You have been voluntold, so just sit there. All right. Harrisburg Area Community College is currently Miss Kelly. I believe it will remain Miss Kelly. Okay. PSB liaison is Mr. Lehman. I have spoken to him, and he said he wished to remain as our delegate for that. And we are hopeful that Dr. John Rubish will continue to be our Cumberland Perry Area Career and Technical Center.
Never a doubt.
Thank you very much. I admittedly did not have a doubt either. All right, moving along, number 9. We have some treasurer's reports there, and we will be seeking to move a motion to approve the following payment of orders and insurance check and wire transfers for $2,332.15, a general fund prepaid for $503,367.77, and a general fund check summary for $297,587.64.
So moved.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, seeking to move a motion to approve the Act 1 resolution for the 23-24 school year, limiting any real estate tax increase to 5.5%.
So moved.
Second.
At this point, Dee will take a roll call vote.
Mr. Carmel,
Yes.
Mrs. Walburn,
Yes.
Dr. Rubish,
Yes.
Mrs. Singley,
Yes.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next up is a motion to approve the resolution authorizing contributions for the payment of design costs to support a construction renovation project for the Cumberland Perry Area Career and Technical Center, and amending the Articles of Agreement related to the terms of the Articles of Agreement.
So move.
Second.
I'd like to make a comment here, Mr. Fry.
Go right ahead.
Vote. Okay. When I was the counselor here, I had unfortunately had the task of informing some students that they did not get into Cumberland Perry. And it really hurts when you see them cry. Back in those days, it was only a few. Now it's going to be more because people have seen the value of what is offered down at Cumberland Perry. I don't want to shatter any students' dreams tonight. I did get a hold of Mr. Bruin this afternoon. The current vote with the school districts is 5-0. Every district's voted so far, and there have been 5 of them have voted to approve this. And that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you. I also will confirm similar. I am a product of Cumberland Perry, and a long time ago, but there was value back then, and there is even more now. So,
Just quick question. How many, do they need to have a unanimous vote for it to pass? And how many districts are they still waiting on? Do you know?
There are 13 districts overall.
Okay.
And yes, it does have to be unanimous.
Okay.
no further discussion? All right, at this point, Dee will take another roll call vote.
Mrs. Walburn,
Yes.
Mr. Carmel,
Yes.
Mrs. Singley,
Yes.
Dr. Rubish,
Yes.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
and Mr. Fry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next up, I will be looking for a motion to move Personnel Matters 12A through K.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Dr. Rubish, let me know whenever you've reviewed. Thank you.
Okay, I'm good.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13, a motion to approve Dr. Lisa Conrad as a Special Education Director Consultant to provide interim services for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 14, a motion to approve the Central Penn Education Associates Incorporated to conduct a psychoeducational evaluations as needed for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, motion carries. Motion to approve the second reading of policies 218.3, discipline of student convicted or adjudicated of sexual assault, and 802.5, the school security personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next up is a motion to approve the APUSH field trip. This is the advanced U.S. history field trip to Alexandria, Charlottesville, and Williamsburg, Virginia, from March 3rd, 2023 to March 12th, 2023, to visit historical sites.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next up, we will throw it over to Dr. Rubish for a Cumberland Perry Area Career and Technical Center update, followed by a Blackhawk Foundation update.
Okay, well, we've talked about Cumberland Perry. Thank everyone for their vote. So we'll move on to the Susquenita Blackhawk Foundation. On the 12th, we had our 5K. Had a good turnout for it. Interestingly, we were unable to give out any awards to the age group of 20 to 29 because we did not have one person aged 20 to 29 run. And Mr. Black, I hope you relay that information to Mari Bigley for me because I was trying to get her to run. So, but we still have T-shirts. And you must admit, these look pretty cool. Sponsors on the back. So if you want one, see me. They're 1 for 20 or 2 for 40. Thank you. Yeah, we still got dirt too. I mean, what better Christmas present for as a gag gift to your friends is a bottle of dirt.
Wrapped up in a shirt.
Right. Dirt and shirts. That's what we were selling.
All right, is that all? All right, short and painless. Okay, just a couple of informational items there. The upcoming meeting schedule, policy committee meeting on January 3rd at 5:30. Please join us, it's a wonderful time. Caucus meeting shortly followed there afterwards, and the regular school board meeting is a week later on January 10th. And now, back to Dr. John Fox.
All right, thank you very much. Again, thank you to our students this evening, our students who helped to design the holiday card, as well as our middle school choir under the direction of Mrs. Flowers. It really, once again, it got us into that holiday mode and that holiday spirit. And Leah and Taryn, thanks again for taking the time out of an extremely busy next couple of weeks for all students and everyone. So thanks for spending that time. Your dedication, both of you, is extremely appreciated, giving us valuable updates, not just on events and happenings, but valuable updates on how certain items that we're discussing impacts you as students. So thank you. As we continue to gear up our winter sports, good luck to our boys and girls basketball, our indoor track and field teams, wrestling, swimming, cheerleaders, and our first ever unified bocce that will begin its first competition on December 14th. So we're extremely excited about that. To our parents and guardians, we ask you to, and to any caregivers, please kindly review our flexible instruction day schedule that's located on our website. So if you go to our main page, It's on the right-hand side. You'll see it about midway through the cover page. And please take a look, click on that, and it'll give you information pertaining to the schedules that we will utilize if we need to activate a flexible instruction day. It's important to note also that we may utilize a 2-hour delay schedule, or in some instances, in a rare occasion, a 3-hour delay schedule, which is new this year. Our goal, honestly, is if we can get students in safely, we want to do that. But there are some times when giving a little extra sunlight and a little extra time for the road crews to get out, that 3-hour delay may come in handy strategically to be able to use that. So again, hopefully we don't have to, but based upon information pertaining to the Farmer's Almanac, it could be ready. So please help us to ready yourselves by reviewing those schedules. Thank you to our Board of School Directors. As we looked this evening to reorganization, I'd like to thank you once again for your continued support. Thank you for your continued involvement to our district and to the community. Your countless hours are appreciated, and what you do for our district is much appreciated as well. To Dr. Herman, to Dr. Schultz, and to our teachers who are leaving, we wish you the very best. We'd like to thank you for your service to our district and the community, and personally, thank you for all you've done. And finally, happy holidays to the Blackhawk community. And at that time, I'm going to turn it over to business operations. All right, Mr. Bard, your time.
Thank you.
I want to wait till the microphone heats up because I want to talk. I want to go on like Dr. Fox does, so I want to go take this short and sweet because it is Christmas season, and I want to give you guys a Christmas present. So I would like to thank you guys for approving the Act 1 Index. A brief update on our. We had to ask for an AFR extension for 30 days beyond the state mandated deadline of November 30th. One of our lead auditors asked for us to apply for the extension because they were not completed with our numbers. So they asked us to apply for the extension. So that's why they were not provided to you guys with this meeting as previously advertised and promised. If you guys look at your financial reports that are in front of you, there is nothing anomalous that stands out that needs to be pointed out. There is nothing between October 2021 and October 22 that in expense-wise that stands out. I do want to point out one thing that that stands out a little bit that I do not want to alarm, or that I don't want you guys to be alarmed about, and that is the cost expenses in the 2600 category. If you guys have the Mrs. Balsabaugh, they have the financial reports, correct? Okay. There is an expense that is overexpended by, it says over 900%, but that is only because a lot of the grant money that we are spending is in that, and I've pointed this out every month because I just want to make sure that when you guys look at it, is in the October 2022. Let me give you the exact cost center, or the exact code. It is actually 407%. It is the 400 codes, and that is where a lot of our expenses is going for the control project. That is, and also where the roofing project is going, and I just wanted to point out to you. We don't budget for grants simply because the grants are not something that we normally budget for, simply because while we are guaranteed them, it isn't something that we put in there because of the fact that it is something that's extraordinary and not something that we keep in there on a regular basis. So just when you guys look at the financial reports, I want you guys to see that. Interest rates continue to rise, and that helps us on the income level, but it will hurt us when it comes to borrowing money, which the district will do. I have a meeting with PFM on Thursday at 12:30. I'm meeting with Brad Remming from the Public Financial Management. We will be discussing the upcoming money that we'll have to purchase for the Cumberland County VOTEC project, as well as I will be discussing the financial future of the district moving forward beyond the borrowing for that project when it comes to the feasibility study. And beyond that, we will look at having a budget presentation at the January caucus meeting and having your budget books prepared for you for the February meeting, so you guys can then parse through them and begin the question and answer sessions that the board and the financial office, as well as the building principals and department heads, can have with us beginning in March, which was the customary, if I remember correctly, from last year. We are looking at keeping everything as stable as possible, but remember, it's very, very difficult to operate a 2020 budget with 2022 costs, given how inflation has kind of affected everything, including school districts. So expect me to address that more in depth in January, and some options that the school district has to tackle as a team together. So I just want to give you guys some updates on that. There's a lot of things we don't know, including a Democratic House of Representatives in the state, as well as a Democratic governor. And so there are a lot of things that we don't know where public funding is going to come from, and things of that nature for the district, including some cost pressures the district's undergoing. However, we are making a lot of money in investing the money that we do have that was not undertaking in the past. So we are, there'll be I think there'll be at least over $100,000 in revenue that was not brought in the past that will be brought in now, currently, that you guys have given me the authorization to do back in September. And we are continuing on that path. And if the Feds hike the interest rates again next week, we'll continue to move forward on that path. The only problem is that we will be bitten a little bit when it comes to borrowing the money for the Cumberland County project when that comes up. But we have some flexibility in our budget because of your wonderful, your very, very good handling of the budget over the last 12 years, 15 years. You'll have the debt service flexibility to handle that one-time shot to help Cumberland County out and expand their programs. So there's a lot of good things going on, so I want to thank you guys for all your efforts. I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from my operations. I will also say one more thing, that we are still experiencing extreme shortages in our janitorial operations. We've begun bringing in some of the Pro Quality Clean and the third party that we operated in. We have about 3 people out of the 5 or 6 that we need. We hope to expand that very quickly. Bus driving is still experiencing severe shortages as well. And now it is cold and flu season, and now sort of being hit very hard with daily call-offs. So I ask that the public continues to give us and grant us that patience that you have been so wonderful with in the past. I'd like to thank everyone internally for their cooperation. And I want to thank especially the technology department for being patient with me, as when the internet was down, I threw multiple temper tantrums over the fact that I couldn't get on the internet. And so I'd like to thank Christine for being calm and patient with me and not kicking me in the teeth. So I want to thank everybody for that as well. So I would like to pass that along to Mr. Quigley, who has done an excellent job with our athletic department in getting the winter sports season underway, and is beginning to plan his budget for next year, as well as the spring sports as well, which is moving up here. So here you go, Mr. Quigley. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Winter sports has officially started this past weekend. If it seems earlier than usual, it's because it is. PIAA has changed their rules that you no longer have to wait 15 days. You may now play after 10 days. Or actually, which means that you basically get 8 practices and 2 scrimmages before you're allowed to play, where it used to be much more. This weekend, we start officially, as Leah said, the girls have Pico at Greenwood. They play the 6 o'clock game on Friday, and then if they win, they play the 7:30 game on Saturday. Our boys are at the Big Spring Tip-Off Tournament at Big Spring, of course, and we play the 2nd game on Friday. And, I just love these things. And we play depending on if we win Friday, that's when we play Saturday. all the home events or all Thursday, the girls open their home schedule against Upper Dolphin. Basketball starts JV at 6, varsity to follow roughly 7:15. Saturday, our cheerleaders are a competition squad this year for the first time that I can remember. And the fact that we have a dozen winter cheerleaders, they'll be coming to wrestling matches, they'll be coming to basketball games. But on the 17th is the District 3 Cheerleading Championship at Central Dolphin East, and we'll be competing there. One big thing that our varsity club is doing, they're sponsoring, is at our home basketball games, varsity halftime, pay $1, take a half-court shot, win a Sheets gift card if it goes in, or a Susquenita Blackhawk Nation T-shirt, because I still got lots of those. So we'll give, and if it's an elementary student, we'll let them shoot a three-pointer from the top of the key. So a bucket shot, come down. This is something that Dr. Fox will do because he did it at York Catholic last year in the district playoff game. That's where we got the idea, and it worked well. He probably missed every shot. It was close. I mean, that little 10-year-old, I think, plucked it right in front of you.
There was a tremendous amount of pressure.
A three-pointer for an elementary student? Are you kidding? How about a foul shot? Give him a chance. Come on.
As always, all the updated scores and schedules are at Susquenita Blackhawks, alloneword.org.
Thank you very much. We will transition now to Mrs. Compton Elementary School. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you to all our volunteers who came out from the district office and from our families to help us serve ice cream to our 700 students and our staff as a celebration of their working hard to achieve our high five values every day in the month of November. We did that last weekend. We had a lot of fun and very sticky hands and arms. Our tutoring has started. That started this week, and so we have teachers that have signed up and are working with students in small groups, either before school or after school, to provide tutoring in reading and math. We have I wanted to say this. We have our first lunch recess aide who has started with our school. And so I want to thank you for that opportunity. We're really excited to have her extra hands and just an additional adult role model walking through our cafeteria and supporting our students there. And she does get to spend a little bit of time out on the playground. So we are hoping that there are more parents out there, community members that would just like to come in for a very flexible, short time of the day to spend some time with our kiddos at lunch and recess. So if anyone's interested in that, please reach out. This Friday, it's all aboard for our PTO's holiday shop and family fun event. So that is from 6 to 8. Come on out. There'll be cookies, crafts, a movie, fun games, and all sorts of things there. And then our holiday shop for families, they send a little bit of money in with their students to shop for Christmas gifts for their students to take home, is on the following week from the 12th to the 16th. And then we also have our 4th grade chorus concert coming up on December 14th at 6 o'clock at the high school. So we hope you can join us there.
Mr. Funk, high school.
Thank you. Keystone exams for the winter retakes started on Monday, and they'll go through next Monday, followed by any makeup exams. So the students are doing great. We're off to a good start with that. We finally received ASVAB results. They were delayed for almost over a month. We got them Monday, and so we're quickly sorting through those scores. because part of Act 158, the Keystone Pathways, scoring a 31 or above on the ASVAB, it counts as a pathway towards graduation. So that's just another way for students who do not score proficient on the Keystones can meet the graduation. So the counselors and administrators are busy sorting through those to add them to the spreadsheets. The 12 Days of Spirit, sponsored by the Student Council, kick off this Thursday. Instead of just a regular Spirit week, they're doing the last 12 days of school before break with a different theme each day. So I think it's a nice little twist, and they have some unique ideas. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Spirit over the next couple weeks. Auditions for the spring musical are the 14th of December. That'll be Cinderella will be performing, and callbacks will be the 15th. So I'm excited for this musical. It's going to be quite a show. And lastly, I just want to reiterate what an amazing job our directors and students did last night at the concert. The winter concert was just totally amazing. The quality and level of performing was just phenomenal. I thought it was just amazing. So kudos to everyone, and everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you very much. Mr. Black, middle school.
All right, we'll just go through the chronological here. So Mr. Quigley mentioned some of this. So wrestling is tomorrow night's our first junior high match, so on the 7th. I'm here at the high school. And next week we have a kind of a jam-packed week next week. So on the 13th, like Mrs. Flower said, we have the winter concert, 7 o'clock, high school auditorium. Junior high basketball Thursday, 12:15 is at home against Halifax, I believe, right? Wednesday, on the 14th, during the school day, we have the Chicago Boys. If you guys aren't familiar, it's a group of, I don't know, let's say gymnastics athletes that do a good job. And it's for the students that sold chocolate for the PTO fundraiser. And Liz Walter, Leanne Eichelberger, Jen Crumley helped run that. And we raised like $13,000, which is a lot of money, I think. That's just for us to keep. So we raised more than that. We paid the chocolate guy, and we got $13,000. And Liz always does a good job giving back to the middle school and doing stuff for us. And one of her ideas to this on next Friday is a glow dance from 6 to 8. Mr. Ward will be there, breaking it down on the basketball court. During the day on Friday, we have another one we call the Best of the Blackhawks celebration. I explained that to you guys, I think, last year what we're doing. It's our PBIS program. So this month, we combined November, December because they're shorter months. And we did the W, which is working with integrity throughout the school, the cafeteria, the bathrooms, the hallways, and all that stuff. So we'll honor those students in the morning. We do a breakfast. I get like donuts. Then in the afternoon, I think they're doing, what were they doing? I can't. The PBS team put something out. Oh, the Minute to Win It games in the cafeteria, yep. And the last thing I have is on the 23rd, the last day of the 2-hour early dismissal, Mr. Angle is putting together the 7th and 8th grade students are going to play the faculty in a little volleyball match at the end of the day before they dismiss. So a little bit of fun before they leave. I also want to thank our staff at the middle school. We have a great staff at the middle school for all they're doing. I know Mr. Ward and I coming in is a new change for them. We've got some different ideas, but they're doing a great job embracing us and adapting to those changes and making school fun and enjoyable for our students. And like everybody else, I wish everybody have a safe and happy holiday. And again, thank you for all you guys do for our district. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Dr. Herman, special education.
Thank you. I'd like to, at the last board agenda, Tom Rao was approved in the special education office, and he's now had a couple weeks under his belt, and he's been doing fantastic with the transition. Smart, learns real fast, very diligent, very, very effective person. And of course, he has a great mentor in Kathy Fackler. And with that, we need to recognize her time here. She only has a few days left here with us before she is officially done. And I probably just cannot speak enough about how much Kathy has maintained the department over the years. Definitely miss her. And then one more would be Brittany Schultz. And, over the last calendar year, there was a good chunk of time where she was the only district psych, right? Where we're typically at 2. She was alone for a lot of that. And I don't know how she accomplished the volume that she accomplished. So big shout out to Brittany, and we wish her the best of luck too in her next position. So
Thanks. We'll round out with technology and Mrs. Matosh.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. The only thing I have tonight is just reminding families about the Affordable Connectivity Program. Mrs. Troutman did send an email out, but just as a reminder, the Affordable Connectivity Program is an FCC program that helps connect families and households struggling to afford internet service. They can get $30 off a month on broadband service and a one-time discount for $100 off a device. For more information, you can go to fcc.gov/ACP or contact the technology department and we can point you in the direction where you need to go. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, are there any board members that would like to make any statements or provide any reports?
I just have a quick question on this. Maybe this isn't the right time to ask it, but it just dawned on me. And maybe this was addressed at a meeting where I was not. So if that's the case, maybe you can talk offline afterwards. But I got a card in the mail for the Department of something, Pennsylvania Department of something, for a debit card that's in Rachel's name that's tied to the free and reduced lunch. And I'm not sure what that's for.
Hang on, I'll answer it so I can figure out. Okay. All right. So we've received several questions about this over the last couple of days. So the Pennsylvania PEBT card is a program that is funded by the COVID relief money. So the school district in the program, the district is not running that, but it is a legit program. It is funded by the COVID relief money and is something that if a student received, it's tied to our free and reduced lunch, our program. However, what it's based on is if a student missed any time because of COVID-related illnesses, or if a student in the district, so how our school qualified, or district qualified, was if one student in one building missed a day, or 5 days, 5 consecutive days, the entire school qualifies for the PEBT, and it's based on, it's tied to our free and reduced roster. So if anybody got a PEBT card, it is legitimate and it can be used for that purpose.
I'm not exactly sure how it's to be used. Like, what does it mean to be used? Because
It's for any meals or any food that you get. Like, it's almost like like food stamps or stuff like that.
so did everybody in the district get one then? They must have.
Almost everyone. Most families did, yes.
Why would not everybody have
And
gotten
they're
one?
in the student's name.
Yes.
And they're
Yeah.
for the days that they would have had to purchase lunch on their own at home because of COVID or being out sick.
No, I think it's similar based. I don't know how the calculation of the formula works. I don't know how the formula, how they figured out how they divvied out the money. It's not something that we figured out. They only asked us for students' name, and they only asked us for students' information. They didn't ask us for how much they spent on lunches or anything of that nature. They only asked us for our rosters and our information if our districts or if our students, if we had students that missed, if we had any students in our district that missed 5 days or more, and if we did that, then the school qualified for that particular marking period, or in each marking period of the school year, our school districts qualify, each school qualified. And when they qualified, they just asked us for the student, the parent or guardian, their addresses, and if they were paid, reduced, or free, what their status was. And we provided that information to the state, and the state made up the state made up their mind as to how they adjudicated that program. So it's really up to the state as to how they did this. And it's all paid for via COVID relief or the ARP money that was given by the federal government to the states to adjudicate that. So it's nothing that the school district does or anything of that nature. We just provided them with a data file, and they go through that and figure it out. So it's not that, so when people ask, like, how do I figure out if I got the money, I direct them to the state, and the state tells them how they figure it out, and there's like a website, and there's a link, and you can figure out how to do that. So what you could buy that for is anywhere EBT cards are accepted, you can use it there. It's only for food or related products like of that nature, so you can go to the grocery store and buy food and stuff like that with it. It's sort of to give an assistance, it's more like public assistance to help defray some of the costs of food and related costs like that. But you can't go out and buy like electronics or cigarettes or things of that, or gas or things like that.
Vape pens.
It's more for like food or stuff like that. So I'm saying it's more for the public than for you. I'm just saying, but like you can go out and buy food and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not saying that for you, Mr. Singh. I'm saying that for like it's more for you like to go to the grocery store and buy food. But there has been parents that have called and said, I don't want to use this at all. How do I get rid of it? They were just throwing it away. And my suggestion would be go buy food with that money and donate it to a soup kitchen or things of that nature to help someone in need that may need more. But I wouldn't give that card to someone else because your student's name is on it. So I would just say go and buy it like to a soup kitchen or something like that.
And I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to the rest of the board and to the staff of the school. And Dr. Herman, thank you for your service here with us. We'll miss you. And that's all I got. Thank you.
I just was wondering if someone could tell us in the community a little bit more about Adopt a Family, that whole program, or more information on that.
That was on my list, but then I kind of thought, with it being district-wide, someone else might share it, and I skipped it completely without thinking. I have it scribbled right up here at the top. So Adopt a Family is a wonderful district-wide program that we do as a whole, but we are housing the gifts and the organization at the elementary school. We do have some staff members from all the different buildings that are contributing and helping. We have been holding gift drop-off for community members that have signed up to adopt different families yesterday, today, and I believe it's tomorrow. So they've been stopping and dropping them after school as well as throughout the day. I don't have an exact number for you, but I believe we are giving gifts to around 250 children this year.
Is it
in the
too late?
district.
Is it too late to sign up?
If you need gifts, it is too late to sign up.
Is it too late to donate?
To donate, it is never too late to donate. Yeah,
So how does that happen?
Yeah,
if someone's
so-
listening and wants to donate to Adopt a Family, how would they go about doing that?
So I would ask if anyone's listening and they want to donate to Adopt a Family, touch base with us at the elementary school and we can link you up with one of our organizers. We take monetary donations. We do still, at this time, because we are already in the gift collecting process, what we have done is any students that were not adopted yet, we have shoppers who have signed up to get online with the kids' wish list and shop for all the students who have not been adopted. And then what we do is we reimburse them through the monetary donations that we receive. In the past, if we have any money that is left over, we have used that to do things such as matzo balls or Carnes gift cards for the families to go out and purchase items for their holiday meals or anything that they need of that nature. We do have a sponsor, and I will tell you next time who it is. I feel very bad.
Could
But
someone
they're
drop-
donating blankets to all of the families this year as well.
Could someone just drop money off the elementary school, or would you prefer gift cards?
Money is great. So yeah, you can bring a check or however you want to make your donation in an envelope, Adopt a Family, and we can take that at the elementary school, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Comp, for that additional information. Appreciate it. Are there any other board members wishing to speak at this time? All right, and it doesn't appear we have any online public comments at this time. Do we have anybody? And we do not have anybody in the audience that wishes to speak. So at this point, I will be looking to move for adjournment.
Second.
So moved.
This meeting is adjourned. Third, yeah. Yeah, Carmo